Joke, no joke, no joke, no joke.
My name is Derrick Turton, AKA Chef Teach. I'm the owner and the founder of the world famous House of Mac, Miami, Florida. This is my story from my mouth.
Check it out. Joke, no joke. Learn from mistakes. DJ S&S the great. It ain't no telling you be a first-time felon. No telling when you be a first-time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first-time felon. No telling when you be a first-time felon. Best day of my life, no sleep all night. Broke day for weeks, my cash was right. My combo tight, take our loot, unite. 23-hour shifts had to see loot like Mike. Cash lovely, yeah, Dougie. How could this day get so ugly? Wifey bout to pop like some bubbly. Yo, through those 9 months, you really bugged me. Felt like a star, cop first car. Get up with the guard, what it is, baby paw. He about to cop a van, get up with our mans. Before we reached our low spot, toes blam. Unaware what happened, discussing and clapping. It wasn't loud, ain't shit gonna happen. Me being stupid instead of getting they moving. This nigga kept chefing like the woo one. Then we heard a knock, no one knew of this spot. 6 niggas in the spot, 6 niggas not. Ain't no telling you be a first-time felon. No telling when you be a first-time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first-time felon. No telling when you be a first-time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first-time felon. No telling when you be a first-time felon. I'm in the precinct.
Where are you originally from and where do you reside now?
I'm originally from Brooklyn. I'm from Crown Heights, Flatbush. But I'm in Miami, Florida now. I've been out here since 1998. But I've been back and forth between Miami and New York my whole life.
How old are you now?
I turned 44 in February.
How would you say your upbringing was? Poor, middle class, or rich? And reiterate the question.
I would say my upbringing was, I guess, middle class. I mean, I never, my mom's was a nurse. My mom's did private duty. So I never, I was never, I would say middle class. I was never on no welfare or, I never had to do none of that. I ain't never do government cheese. I ain't never do none of that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would say middle, my upbringing was middle class.
Did you come from a single parent home or married?
Well, I mean, my mother and father were married when I was younger. I think they probably separated when I was about 14 or something like that. And then I had but I still had a pretty good relationship with my father up until the time he passed away. So, I mean, but my mom used to do private duty stuff, and when we lived in Miami, she made more money in New York. So she would come to New York to work because she would make 3 times the money she made in Miami up here. So we would come up here. So even when my mother and my father was together, we would move around my mom's a lot more because, she was just, I guess, the more responsible one. The sound is good?
Yeah.
All right.
What did you think you would be as a kid? Growing up, what did you think?
Honestly, man, I ain't know what I wanted to be as a kid. I was just a regular kid trying to figure it out. I played football when I was younger, because when I lived in Miami, what basketball, what ball is in New York, that's football was that in the South. So I played Pop Warner football, stuff like that. And that's probably really, Pop Warner football is probably my real only memory, my only real childhood memory. Because then when I started getting into my teens, things just started getting kind of crazier and, you know what I mean, more street and guns and all that stupid shit. So I can curse, right?
No.
Okay.
Try not to.
Okay.
I mean, you can, but try not to.
Okay. But I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do when I was younger. I was just trying to figure it out.
How far?
At what age did I feel like I became an adult? I mean, you know, I think like when I really started hitting the streets in Brooklyn, I thought I was grown, right? But I got locked up when I was 16, and they sent me to adult prison. They sent me to when that bus skipped over Coxsackie and went to Comstock. That was when the realistic, you know, that's when the reality kind of set in. That like, okay, cool. The society definitely ain't viewing me as an adolescent anymore. So I guess I'm a man. I got to man up, and you know, I gotta do what it do. But yeah, like I was mannish probably at 14, 15, but 16 I definitely was on my own and figuring it out.
How far did you get in your education?
I got my GED because I got locked up when I was 16. I was in 11th grade. And I got locked up. I got my GED, did some college, and I came home and I went to culinary school. What's the purpose? What you want me to talk about? What's the purpose of it? Because I don't want to go left.
Answer the question.
Okay.
Everything's good. At what age do you think you made the career choice that people knew you for?
I want to say like maybe like 23, 24. The original thing people knew me for was music. So I started off doing club promotions. Club promotions evolved into music. My first job in the music business was with Uncle Luke. And through Uncle Luke, I met Pitbull, and then went on to manage Pitbull for about like 14 years of his career. So I would say that was probably like my break, I guess, like my breakthrough, like as far as like success, financially, stuff like that. So I don't say like, I mean, I started working with Pitt when I was like 23, 24.
What were your early struggles as a manager, and how did you overcome them?
I mean, my early struggles as a manager that was definitely my first rodeo when I managed Pitt. I was the first artist I ever managed. And on top of that, you know, he was like a UFO, right? Like a Cuban from down south that's comfortable speaking Spanish on a record. And you know, with music, if they can't put you in a category or a box, they don't understand it. So we literally had to go and carve out a lane and create a lane. And you know, the biggest challenge was just trying to get people to see what I saw at the time, right? Like, you know, I'm trying to explain to people like, you know, I'm seeing this shiny diamond and they just seeing whatever they were seeing. They just ain't understand it. So, I mean, I think that was my biggest challenge in the beginning, just like resilience and just trying to just make people understand what the vision was.
And how would you say you overcame that?
Not taking no for an answer, just that's where the Brooklyn kicked in. You know what I'm saying? No. I mean, you know, that's where all of the Brooklyn kicked in, and you know, I mean, just that New York, you know, that I'm not taking no for an answer. And well, let me backtrack a little bit, right? So when I came home from prison, right, I came home as a felon, right, and the biggest challenge with that is like, you know, even though you paid your debts to society, society wants you to pay that debt for the rest of your life, right? So my first lesson in that was that every time I kept running my Social Security number for a job, it kept coming back I was a felon and I kept getting denied. And then I realized that, okay, this is not working out. They do background checks on Social Security numbers, but they don't do background checks on tax ID numbers. So that was kind of like my first, I became an entrepreneur because I didn't want to keep going through what I was going through with that. And then so like when one of my accounts that I had back then, they wouldn't hire me as an individual, and they came back around and hired my company, and not only hired my company, gave me all these plaques and like all of these, you know, commendations and all that. So I was like, all right, the system is broken, and if I wouldn't have found an alternate route to get that done, it wouldn't have happened. So that got instilled in me earlier on. When I started working with Pitt, I saw what I saw. I just felt like people didn't see what I seen. So persistence is what kind of pushed us through that, because I had to just, even though they was, you know, I was times I went to the barbershop and dropped off CDs, and I come back and, you know, the CDs is in the garbage, and, you know, like, I had to press dudes, and I had to, and it's funny because like when we popped up, the same dudes who was throwing the CDs in the garbage was the same, yo, you think you could come to my birthday party, you think? You know what I mean? So I just had to learn the ways of man. I just had to figure out the psychology, all of this stuff, and I just had to just push. I just wouldn't take no for an answer.
That's good. So, did you have people that doubted you as a manager that were close to you?
Well, I wouldn't say doubted me as a manager. I think it was a lot of people, like I would go to Brooklyn and dudes like, yo, why you, like I remember I worked for, before I started managing Pitt, I used to do street team work in Miami. So I remember having this long conversation with Sean Perez at Bad Boy, because Bad Boy was my account. And you know, like I just always shot. I've always been somebody like with integrity, right? Like when things started picking up with Pitt, and I felt like I wasn't giving other artists like 100%, I was like, yo, I gotta focus on this over here, right? So I remember having a conversation with Sean Perez where I was telling him, I'm like, yo, listen, I'm gonna hold this down for you till you find somebody that could do this, but I'm about to jump on the road with homie because I think this is it for me. And he was like, yo, you gonna stop working for Bad Boy to go work with a new artist? I'm like, yeah, like my gut telling me this is what I need to go and follow. And I don't think it was necessarily, I wouldn't call it doubt, but I just think like, I think the challenge with a lot of people is stepping outside of a comfort zone. And I was getting that steady Bad Boy check for a long time. And you know, it was prestigious and like, you know what I mean? It was, you know, at that time, like, you know what I mean? Like you repping Bad Boy, you repping, you know what I'm saying, all these different labels. It was a prestigious situation, and he didn't understand like why I would walk away from that. But like for me, it was just more just stepping outside my comfort zone. I don't think he totally understood that at that moment. But then I remember walking the red carpet with Pitt and Puff, and then walking next to Prez. He's like, damn, bro, you know what I mean? And it's just like, so, you know, hey champ, yeah, man, you gonna, I done seen like a whole bottle. Hey, look in the front of that. I seen a whole bottle of that. That's $3, $4. Go ahead. I'm gonna jump back in. Go ahead.
All right, cool.
You know how like you be like with these rap niggas and they be like lying about a bunch of, yo, homie, my whole shit check out. I ain't gotta lie about shit.
Right.
Everything I'm saying, that's the story. That's what happened.
Right.
I be with these niggas in these radio stations sometimes, they be telling them stories. I'm like, homie, I don't remember that part of the shit. I don't remember the Lambo. I don't remember this. I don't remember none of that shit there. I don't remember how you was getting busy in the streets and all that other shit. I remember choking a few niggas out for you. I don't remember you doing shit though, but.
Right. Who are some of the memorable people that you could say supported you throughout your career, whether it be in management and in your new business?
Well, I'm gonna say like my first opportunity. Well, first of all, I'm gonna say my wife. My wife has been, you know, like, you know, from nothing to, you know, the entire journey. She's been there. She's been like my biggest, you know, coach, support, cheerleader, like whatever. I would say my wife and my family, first off. But my homeboy Jeff Sanchez, you know Jeff?
Yeah.
So Jeff Sanchez used to work for Luke. I found Jeff Sanchez's two-way pager in Amnesia at the time and returned it to him. And that's how I got on his radar. Jeff got me my first job at, he's the one that got me hired with Luke. And we just been like really good friends over the year, very supportive of everything I'm doing, vice versa. I will say my transition from music to food, and even through music and even just like, you know, a lot of the unsurety of like, you know, when I was on the fence with the music stuff and all of that, hands down Bun B, like Bun B threw a battery in my back, man. Bun B just sit me down and just like, homie, listen, Bun B was the one that got me to step outside my comfort zone. My man Brian Leach, you know what I mean? Brian Leach gave me like my first job in a basically corporate, like I worked for Luke, and then Brian got me my first job at like TBT Records, and then when he got his label deal situation with Sony, he did the Polo Ground situation, RCA and all of that, like he brought me in and promoted me to vice president. So, you know, he's somebody that's like been, it's just a lot of people, bro. Like, you know what I mean? I'm blessed for people that just come across my path, and I you know, and if I forget to mention somebody, you know, blame my mind and not my heart, man. But it's just been a lot of people along my journey that have contributed and supported me, even when I wasn't sure about things that I was trying to do, and they helped paint the picture clear for me. So.
Cool. What would you say is the highlight of your journey as a manager, and then what's the highlight of your journey as a chef?
The highlight of my journey as a manager, I mean, my highlights was really seeing Pitt and artists that I work with be successful, right? You know, the music business at times could really be like a thankless business, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think a gift and a curse with me is like, sometimes I think with my heart more than I think with my mind. And so like when I get into things, I just go all in. And like for me, that whole Pitt push was about Pitt. I wanted to see homie win. I wanted to see him be successful. I just wanted to, you know, like that was the end goal. Like that's what we was doing. I think the hype, because you know, like you know, a lot of times people think money equals happiness, right? And it's just like money is money. Like money is cool, you know, financial freedom is cool, but you know, it's just other things that, like purpose is more important to me than money at this point in my life. And at one point I used to gauge success with dollar amounts and objects and cars and things like that. And then when I started getting these things, I still felt unfulfilled. So the things that brought me fulfillment was like accomplishment, like just doing things. So like seeing what I saw in Pitt earlier on, and then seeing him have a #1 record a few times over, seeing like homie used to live around the corner in the hood, and then when he bought his jet or bought his boat, or you know what I'm saying? Like that was accomplishing me and purpose, and I feel like we accomplished something, and whether I'm a part of it now or not, like I'm grateful for him, and I'm grateful for his success, and I'm grateful for being part of the journey.
Right.
Success for me in terms of the food business is, I think I'm at a different place in my life, and at this place in my life, it's about ownership, it's about legacy, it's about financial freedom, it's like my vision is just something totally different. So like for me, actually saying I'm gonna do this and following through with it and doing it, and then getting a truck, and then a truck turning into 2 trucks, and then 2 trucks turning into 3 restaurants. I just put in another offer on a restaurant this morning before you walked in here. Purpose for me is being able to provide jobs coming in the community. We in Overtown right now. Overtown is probably the equivalent of like East New York or Brownsville in New York. You know what I'm saying? And you know, when I come into these places, what's happening, bro? When I can come into the community, I mean, we got all these social things going on. We got police killing, you got us killing, we got so many social situations that we deal with, and you got so many people that's just talking about the problems, and then you got people that's doing something about it, right? So like for me, me being able to go in a community and open up a business and be able to hire 20, 30 people from the community, and put jobs in the community, you know, when I get phone calls at 7 o'clock in the morning, like, yo, bro, I just calling to say thank you, man. Like, I just bought my house a home. Or I just, you know, like, I just appreciate you just, you know, put me in a solid position. I can take care of my family. That's the kind of things that, it just gives me purpose. And those are like the highlights of what I'm doing right now. Being able to say that I'm building something that I could, my son's first job was with me. My son works for me, right? But he's really working for himself because at the end of the day, I'm building something that this is yours, right? And, you know, knowing that like if my son wanted to go start a business, he don't have to go to a bank, he can holler at me, right? Like these are the things that is the perks for me. And this is what I do it for now.
Cool.
You got it, Will. If I start rambling, you just got to just shut it down.
Hey, it ain't no time limit to this. What was the worst moments in your journeys in both?
COVID.
Okay.
This shit for the books, champ.
If you could go back and do anything over, what would it be?
You know what's crazy, man? Like, even when you ask that question, bro, you know, adversity builds character, right? And like, some of the things you go through, it's like as crazy as prison was for me, right? If I didn't go through that at that point in my life, I would have been one of them dudes you talking about right now. Like one way or the other, my life and my trajectory, and like I needed to sit down. I needed something to give me like a hard pause, sit your ass down, and rethink things because where my life was going, I feel like God intervened in my life at that time. Like honestly, bro, like I was old dog. I was lost. I was that dude in Brooklyn that you couldn't. They don't leave him alone. And once you can't talk to me no more, you can't talk to me. I was lost. I was gone. I didn't care about repercussions. I didn't care about. I just didn't care about life.
So you wouldn't change nothing?
Well, I'm not gonna say that. Let me reel it in. So, you ever seen the movie The Butterfly Effect? Right. So it's just like one of them kind of things. It's like I've been through a lot of things. You know what I would change, man? I would. So from a music standpoint, I would probably paper up better. I would definitely go into any situation, any business situation, and make sure that the paper is right. Because one thing I learned is that, you know, and I'm not speaking about nobody in particular. I'm saying like I've worked with several artists. I work with a lot of different people, and I say like it's a thankless business. I'm saying that I've seen the cycle of people come in and put in work, right? And they buy into the vision, the dream. It's like, homie, we're gonna put in this work and we're gonna take it to the motherland. And too many times, like when artists get to the motherland, the dudes who put in the work, they sit on the sidelines and this wasn't part of the plan, right? So, if I ever got back in the music business, all the personal stuff gotta, not saying it won't be personal because you're around somebody, but
Make sure you get paid.
like at the end of the day, what we talked about, what we agreed about, all I gotta be on paper. It ain't no like, yo, my word, my man, yo, handshake and all of that. Like, you know, what we talked about gotta be honored on paper. That's one thing I would change about the music business. As far as the food business, you know, I made mistakes. Like my first truck, I bought a lemon. It looked good on the outside, and then, you know, one thing I would change about the food business is just doing my diligence a little bit better and just taking a little bit more time to just figure it out. Because I've made mistakes and I've made like some expensive mistakes. I've made mistakes that like I wish I would have thought out a little bit more, and it probably would have saved me a lot of money and a lot of headaches and heartache or whatever. But on the same token, it conditioned me to know that like, yo, listen, I ain't never moving like that again, right? So, you know, just due diligence. But like, you know, I did music for 18 years, right? I only been doing food for the last 6 years. So it's just some things, you know, you got wisdom and you got knowledge. It's like the knowledge is the stuff you learn in the books, and then the wisdom is the stuff you just learn hands-on, like that the books ain't gonna teach you. So some of the things I just gotta just learn. Like, you know, some of the things like even just dealing with people and managing people, I'm learning more about people just being around people and just learning how to maneuver through it. And I'm really good at like even studying other people and learning from their mistakes and just trying to, you know, I learned a lot from Luke. Like Luke is like one of my biggest, like, you know, to this day, like Luke is like a great friend of mine. We talk but he's like one of those guys, like, you know, he don't just talk to talk. He puts you in position to do things, but then when you watch him move, because you know, like Luke was like one of the trailblazers. Luke was like one of the dudes. He fought for the First Amendment. He, you know, and he went through it. He lost a lot. He gained a lot. Whatever. But Luke is like a guy that like I've studied over the years. Like I've been in meetings with Luke, man. With Luke, you know, like he just in passing and he'll just say some shit and you like some $1 billion idea, and that's just the way he ain't even thinking about it. It's a throwaway for him. He just like, man, we just, I'm like, I'm gonna meet with him like, huh? Like, where's this coming from? But you know, he been through his shit. He got his catalog taken. He been through a lot of things, and then so you know, you look at that, you're like, okay, cool. He was cool with dude, and then dude when he took his catalog, so all right, you got to paper up because yeah, it be all good till it's all bad, and you know what I'm saying? So. You know, man, I just respect the journey, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't gonna be all good. It ain't gonna be all bad. You gotta take it as it comes. But, you know, I think like at the end of the day, the entire journey kind of makes up the DNA of who you are. And it's like, it's crazy because, you know, like we grow up, right? And then we have kids and we don't want our kids to go through what we went through, right? But then the things that we went through is kind of like what condition us, so it's just kind of like, how do you balance that out? Like I don't want my kid, I don't want my son or my daughter to have to go through some of the stuff that I had to go through that define me as a man now. But like, how do I instill that in you to make you understand? Like, you don't want to make these kind of mistakes. You don't want to do because sometimes people don't learn until they go through things. So it's it's weird, man. But you know, man, I'm just trying to just figure it out, man.
That's a good point. There's someone right now watching this. Mm-hmm. Either they want to be a manager or they want to open a restaurant. Mm-hmm. They're going to go through some potholes and on that journey. Mm-hmm. What are some of the potholes you could tell them to avoid? Like you said, somebody could have, when you started in the restaurant business, somebody that could have had a restaurant business for 20 years could have came and told you some things that made sure that you skipped the stuff that
the headaches.
The headaches.
But
what are some of them things?
So it's a couple of things, right? So from the music side, I keep that short and sweet. Think with your brain and not your heart. With as far as music, like just understand that the music business is the music business, right? And you know, it's a lot of things, a lot of emotions, a lot of all of that. But respect the business, understand the business, take the time out to know and understand the business, and make sure you protect it, make sure you cover it. Whatever your situation is, whether you're an executive, whether you managing somebody, whatever it is, make sure your paperwork and all that stuff is straight. You know what I'm saying? As far as the food business, I would say, and not even just the food business, I'm saying overall, just life. I just think that one size don't fit all, you know what I mean? And like, you gotta understand that, like, you know, no matter what you're doing, like, you know, people look at what I'm doing with this food thing right now, and like, you know, thank God, man, like, you know, I switched gears and I stepped outside of my comfort zone and I found something that's working for me. But part of the reason that it works for me is that I've kept my face clean over the years, right? Like, I've kept my face clean over the years. I got great relationships. I got priceless relationships with artists and these people that just rock with me. And like, I've helped Yo Gotti from the beginning of his career. I've helped Pitbull from the beginning of his career. Like, I've helped, you know, a little scrappy first time ever leaving Atlanta. I was with him, like, you know what I mean? Like, look, you know, so, and most of these dudes, I never asked them for nothing. So the biggest gift they could give me is just supporting me and just, you know what I mean? But will that happen for somebody else? You might not have the same relationships to that guy. You might not have the relationships with the radio stations and, you know what I'm saying? So you can't look at like just what I'm doing and just like, I'm gonna just follow that blueprint and it's gonna work for me. It might not necessarily work for me, right? So you gotta understand that like one size don't fit all. That's first and foremost. So although you might wanna follow a certain blueprint, you follow the blueprint, but you got to be able to adapt to like where things are different, because that's the mentality of some people. They be like, well, I tried it, man, and it ain't working for me, or like it happened in 6 months for him. Why it's taking me a year and a half? Like, you know, sometimes it's timing. Sometimes it's, you know, sometimes it's the concept. Like maybe I might have started doing this at the right time. If you come right behind me and try to do the same thing, it might not. You know what I mean? So it's just not one size fit all. I mean, you know, one of my biggest things was, like if anybody trying to buy a food truck, you know, it's a lot of things I didn't think about, like when I went into the food truck, like who's gonna clean it at the end of the night, parking it, like, I mean, just logistical things that it's just like.
So what are some of the basics?
Well, you know, it's like, so first of all, a man told me never buy a truck from anywhere Tennessee and above. And the reason why is because every state above that, it snows, and the snow rusts the chassis of the truck. And so like my first truck, I spent $90,000 on not a used truck with a brand new kitchen. Also, I mean, it was a lemon because it had all kind of electrical problems. It had all kind of transmission, it had problems because and the truck came from Chicago. So when after I went through that whole situation, I bought a brand new truck. But, you know, then I had people advising me who had been through it before and was like, bro, listen, the mistake you made. He was like, I could, before you even tell me where you got the truck from, I bet you got that truck from up north. And I was like, yeah, the truck came from Chicago. He was like, yeah, it snows in Chicago. That's why, you know, and then most of those food trucks, they're like old Lay's trucks, or like, you know, like the chips or the UPS or whatever that got like 100,000 miles on it and whatever. So, you know, understand what you're investing in, because you know, some people taking their whole life savings. They like, all right, cool, going, you know, and they throwing ball, you know, they going to the wall with it, and then, you know, you got a $50,000 kitchen inside of a joint that won't move, so you can't even go get the money. I had an event. I remember my first truck. We had an event with Carnival Cruise Line, 19,000 people. Send me a deposit. Morning we go start the truck up. Nothing. I had to send a deposit back, I had to call these people back, tell them we can't, like, sick, right? So just know what you're investing in, and just do your research, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, every city is different, so you got to know where you could park the truck, you know, try to have an idea, like, you know, out here you got to be on private property, you can't vent from the street, so take the time out to, like, before you invest in that, go talk to people and find out where you can park it, and, you know, I mean, there's just so many things as far as that. Treat your brand like a brand, like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, be on point with all your branding. You know what I mean? Like when you go to the supermarket, you gonna buy Super Fruity-O's or you gonna buy Fruit Loops? You gonna buy Fruit Loops because you know what Fruit Loops is. You know what I'm saying? People respect brands, brand recognition and all of that stuff. You know, try to create things just knowing that social media sells. You know what I mean? Just knowing that, like, you know, somebody saying the prayers over their food is actually them just taking a picture and posting it somewhere. Make your food appetizing, make it look appetizing, make it presentable. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so many different things that I've just learned, you know, just through the food truck hustle. Like, you know, I bought the truck and all I cared about was like how I'm cooking food. But then at the end of the night, every night, truck got to get cleaned. I just been out for 18 hours. I had to go to Restaurant Depot in the morning. I had to go get propane for the